Good afternoon, Conversation 1. This is another afternoon edition of our class. The lighting doesn't work, I think, as well as it does in the evening, actually, because the light comes in to my right here, but we'll do what we can. Today is May 7th, and there was an error in the instructions claiming that today was May 6th, but I think most of you figured it out. Some people handed theirs in yesterday, which was fine, but also you have until tonight, May 7th, Thursday, May 7th, to hand in your assignment on an exceptional person, okay? Now, today we're going to talk about Chapter 6. The title is White Lies, but my lecture title is going to be Fact or Opinion, because that is sort of the fundamental lesson that I want you to get from this chapter. And the exercises that I ask you to do for homework today are going to be related to distinguishing between fact and opinion. So, as in the case of your assignment on an exceptional person, it's best to use a combination of fact and opinion when you're writing. If you're just listing facts, then there's really no point of writing an essay, especially academically, because you're just giving something that's widely accepted, or it should be accepted as indisputable. It should be information that is observed to be true by most people. There are some strange things floating around right now, like people saying alternative facts. There's no such thing as an alternative fact. It's either a fact or it's not. It's either true or it's false. That's in the definition of fact itself. So when somebody claims to have alternative facts, they're not really talking about facts at all. They're talking about other possibilities, in which case the original fact is not a fact. So first you usually have to disprove the original fact, and then you can come up with alternatives. So there's no such thing as different facts for different people. Although that seems to be circulating a lot these days, that's not something you can usually have fly in the university. That's not something we accept. So, no alternative facts when you're writing for me, please. If you have an opinion, that's different, though, because that's related to your perspective or the way that you decide to form your ideas about something. And if you don't do that, then you really just, like I said, you have something like an encyclopedia, you have a dictionary, you have a definition, or you're just informing people, which is good if that's your purpose. But if you're trying to persuade people about something that's not factual, you're taking a fact and trying to get people to be positive about that fact, or negative about that fact, or support you or not support you. There's a lot of different purposes for getting your reader to be on your side. That's when you get into the realm of opinion, perspective, and argument. The reason that I prefer to say perspective or argument is because an opinion is just located in yourself, meaning that it's just an idea that you have, and which is good, because when you say something that's your opinion, then often the response somebody gives you is, well, you're entitled to your opinion. It's your opinion, I have mine, and you have yours, which is good. And then we can coexist, and everybody can be independent, and people can have their own ideas that don't infringe on other people's. However, there are, in many cases, we need to work together, and we need to get at least majorities, if not uniformity, in society. Because having competing opinions all the time causes clashes of ideas, which causes our society to rip itself apart. This has happened many times. So there are many occasions where you have to try and change somebody else's opinion, or you have to demonstrate your opinion, or persuade other people of the validity of your opinion using argument, right? Now, if you just say your opinion and leave it at that, that's a polite thing to do. And that's why when you're speaking, you often use personal pronouns, and you say things like I think, or I believe, or you don't even need a personal pronoun. You can say something like it would seem that, or this suggests, or something like that. It's very polite, gentle. It's a good it's a neutral way of presenting your opinion, so that you're demonstrating to the other person that you can change your mind if you want to. If you agree with me, that's fine, and if you don't, that's also fine. That's one strategy, but that's not as effective when you're writing a paper. Generally, we try to be more forceful, and we try to be more convincing, so that removing the personal pronoun is a benefit. I was always taught when I was in high school, just don't use I. Just never use it. My high school teachers, most of them, just told me it was wrong, because often I was reducing the effectiveness of what I was saying, because I was just a high school student. So, it's sort of, you can make a choice about this. Certainly, if you are a person of some renown, if you're a famous person with a high status and a reputation, if you say, I think, and you're the president, then people are going to jump. Whether you say I think or I believe, or you just say it is, it doesn't matter. But that's because you have all of this, you have this sort of natural forcefulness behind you. But in the case that you're a lowly professor like myself, or you're a teacher, or you're a student who hasn't become famous yet, then what you want to do is just remove the I pronoun, and you just want to state it, right? Rather than saying Barack Obama is the best president in the United States, rather than saying I think, you just say it is. I'm not saying that's true. That's not my opinion. I'm a big fan of FDR, but that's just what popped into my head. I think blue is the nicest color. That's something you would usually say, I think, because we all know color is very subjective, and people actually see colors differently. So that would be something that would not make a good essay topic, because it would be hard to defend the position that blue is actually better than green or purple or red, because everybody's going to have a different opinion, and there's not a very effective way to get somebody to change their opinion, short of, tampering with their eyes or their brain. So, personal pronouns, try to avoid them. I mean, you've already handed in your assignment, and it'll take me a couple weeks to process them and to give you your grades and your feedback on them. But there is one final assignment at the end of the term. I don't want to talk about it now, because you need to take a breather. It's always satisfying when you've handed in a paper and you get a break, and for a few weeks you don't have to do anything. I am asking you to do a small piece of homework today, but it is nice to just sit back and think to yourself, one of the major things I have to do this semester is done. So you should be rewarded for that. But there will be one more assignment later in the semester, and the reason that we will do one more is so that you can take the things that you learned from the first one and from the homework that you did, and I can give you some feedback, and then you can turn it around and show me what you've learned. Okay, so like I said, when it comes to writing formally and academically, you're going to have quite a different style than you do when you speak. It's not polite just to make statements, especially assertive statements, to other people. That's not a good idea when you're trying to have a comfortable discussion about whatever the topic is. If it's politics or education or economics or religion or anything like that, really an assertive or aggressive tone and style, and choosing the words that impersonalize things and make them more compelling is going to probably cause other people to be more defensive, and that's going to break down your conversation. But the thing is, when you're writing, it's a one-way thing, so you can be as pushy as you want. You don't want to be rude, I'm not saying that, but you need to make claims. You need to say this is what it is and this is why it is, and you don't need to be kind and gentle to other people's feelings. You just make your statements and you support the statements and you deliver them, and then it's done. that's what essays are. That's what their main function is, to be effective in communicating arguments. Okay? So in the book there, it does have a short little paragraph called White Lies. And I'm from the school of thought that white lies are dangerous. In fact, when I was young, my father informed me that there was no such thing as a white lie or a black lie, if you want to call it a regular lie, a black lie, but it's just, he said there's just lies or truth. That's it. There's no such thing as a white lie. It's just lying. So some people think there's a hard line there, but some people think that there's a type of lying that could spare a little bit of suffering, pain, or discomfort, or insults to people. And if it's a small thing, then that would qualify as a lie has a beneficent purpose. It's not going to hurt anybody. In fact, it might even be helpful to somebody. It might avoid somebody getting hurt. And that's essentially what a white lie means. So there's several examples there. The first example is a mistake about colors, like Tom's new car is red when it's actually purple. Is that a white lie? No. That's just wrong. And that's, if you want to call that an alternative fact, fine, but that's what alternative facts are. It's not really red, it's purple. I call it purple, you call it red. Okay, call it what you want to call it, but that's the same car, it's the same color. That's wrong. Okay, a small or unimportant lie you tell not to hurt someone's feelings. I think your new car looks cool, when actually you think the new car looks ugly. Does that qualify as a white lie? It could, you know. If it doesn't really matter, if it's just your buddy in high school and he's got an old car and he's really excited and he's saved up all his money and he bought it and you think it's not that nice, it's not that comfortable, and it's not that attractive, but you can see he's super excited and he says, "What do you think of my car? Isn't it awesome?" And you just say, "No, it's ugly and it sucks, man. It's pretty much the crappiest car I've ever seen." That's not necessary. You don't have to say that. Because to him, I remember my first car. It was pretty much, that was what my car was. I never told anybody it was awesome, but I thought it was awesome. I just thought it was awesome to have wheels and to be able to get around. So that's a sort of subjective thing, and maybe that's a good way of describing how white lies work, is that if it's a very subjective thing, like the person thinks that thing looks great, but you don't, and you know that if you disagree with it, you're going to hurt their feelings, then you should probably just go along with it. That's sort of what a white lie is trying to accomplish. So, you know, clothing, cars, maybe, I don't know, toys or something like that the person really thinks is cool. If you don't think so, you can just go along with it, and it's not going to hurt anybody. And I wouldn't really call that a real lie, personally. The third example here is a type of lie politicians tell to be popular. For example, when I am president, everyone will be able to buy a new car, like the Volkswagen. When the politician knows people will not have more money, and they won't be able to do that. He's just lying in order to get into the presidency. Pretty much every politician does this, but that doesn't make it not lying. It just means politics is full of lying. So that's not a white lie. B is the answer there. So there's a little paragraph there. White lies. Here's an example. White lies are not always bad. If you tell your girlfriend that her new haircut looks great when it is horrible, she will know you are lying. I think it is better to tell the truth in this case. However, if your girlfriend has a new dress and she really likes it, you should always say it's lovely. If you say you don't like it, you will make her unhappy and angry with you. You can lie if the truth will hurt and it is not important. I agree with the idea, but the examples don't make any sense. If you read it over yourself, what's more important, clothing or hair? Well, I think they're in some ways not that much different. Your hair can grow back. You can return a dress. So maybe it's better to lie about the dress because it's, replaceable, or maybe it's worse because if you keep it for more than a month, then you can't replace it and your hair can grow back. But the logic here doesn't make any sense. I think if you're going to lie about your girlfriend's hair or your boyfriend's hair, they should reverse this as well. Boyfriend or girlfriend. If you're going to lie about somebody's clothing, your boyfriend's clothing or his hair, it doesn't really matter. One is not better than the other. I think the flaw in the logic in this short little paragraph is, if you're going to lie on one, lie on the other. And if you're not going to lie, don't lie, right? Take a stance there, because both of them can be fixed. You can get a different haircut, you can grow it out, you can dye it, or you can buy new clothes, or you can return the clothes and get something else. So I think the same rationale should apply for both. It's kind of a strange paragraph. But for some reason, I don't always agree with the textbook. I always point this out to my students, is that when we get through paragraphs, there's always something wrong with every paragraph. So some of these things are intentionally there, and some of them may not be. But you can always find flaws in every paragraph, even in the textbook. So don't think the paragraphs are for you to copy. They're just kind of modeling different types of paragraphs, and it's good for you to try and find what's wrong with them. So this one's kind of illogical, so it's not a great example. What I would like you to do for homework is page 43 and 44, right there. That's your homework. At the bottom of page 43, you have to just look at the two sentences, and there's a fact for one and an opinion for the other. So A is done for you. Learning English is easier for girls than boys, which I think statistically, I think girls do better, at least in Canada, in academic performance. There's reasons for that, but that's an opinion. It's not a fact, even though there are statistics that kind of back up the trend that way. But if they don't give you a statistic, it's just an opinion, right? Fact, there are more boys than girls in my English class. Yeah, you can count them. If there's a statistic, that's debatable. But if there's an actual number that you can count, or a date, or an event, or a description, like a color, or a height, or something like that, or a shape, like that's a circle, you're not going to argue whether that's a circle or not. Either it is round, or it's not. It's a square, it's got four corners, and all four sides are the same length. That's a square, that's a fact. So if something claims that kind of evidence, then it's a fact. And if it doesn't, it represents a person's point of view, then it's an opinion. So you just write, I want you to just type this out on your computer. You don't even have to write the full sentences. You just have to write B, opinion, fact, fact, opinion, C, like that, okay? All the way down, there should be an opinion and a fact for each one. I don't mind if you don't write the sentences if you're feeling lazy. If you want to type out the sentences to practice your typing in English, then go ahead, because that's good for you. I type Hangul sometimes on my keyboard, and I type like a grade 3 kid looking for the characters. It's pretty painful. So if you need to practice your printing skills, your typing skills rather, then it's good for you to type out the full sentences in English. It's fine. And page 44, again, there's an example. There's a topic, tea, and you have to write one fact and one opinion. So for tea, green tea is good for your health. That's a fact, assuming that the research has been done and the doctors and the scientists have published material and it's been verified. Then it's a fact. Black tea tastes better than green tea. They call that an opinion, because that could depend on somebody's, personal taste. So that's the first one. The others you need to do, and in this case, of course, you need to type out the full sentence based on the topic. Write one for a fact, one for opinion. B, C, D, E, F, the topics are given for you. And then G, you pick your own topic and do 2 sentences about that topic too. Okay? And that would be week 9. Thank you for handing in your papers. Most of them are in, and the rest of you, please get them in by midnight tonight. And as usual, the lecture summaries need to be updated. But I was just catching up on feedback and grading of certain things for multiple classes, so I'll make sure that the lecture summaries get updated by the weekend too, and we'll be all caught up. Let me see here. Your last makeup class is next Saturday. So that's a week from this Saturday. So that will be the 15th. The cyber lecture will be open for your makeup lecture. So don't forget, next week is a double week because of the makeup lecture, okay? So that'll be week 10 and week 11. All right. Thank you for listening and have a good afternoon, and I'll talk to you next week.